So you finally got a buyer that you have taken on a million different home tours. You find that home and then you go under contract. All seems well in the world until that inspection happens. What's going on? It's your brother, your uncle, your favorite realtor's favorite realtor, and I am going to be I'm going to be the use case, if you will, use case scenario for a situation that I dealt with a buyer not too long ago, and how I navigated that situation, and hopefully it helps you in your business. If you don't know who I am, I'm your brother, your uncle, your favorite realtor's favorite realtor. I am with Real Broker, and if you'd like to learn more about alignment here at Real Broker, click the link in the first pinned comment. Happy to have a conversation. So I have a situation, or I should say had a situation, where there's a particular buyer and we've looked at a ton of homes, and I mean a lot of homes. Some of you may be unlike me, where you have your come to Jesus moments a lot sooner than normal. If you're me, I'm not taking a client under any circumstances to look at 50 different homes. That's just something that I'm personally not going to do. Why? Because I'm going to make sure on the front end, I know exactly what they're looking for, what are their must-haves, what are their non-negotiables. And my job, if we're looking at a list of 10 things, is to get as close to 8 out of the 10 as possible. So when you do have a situation where you have a picky client and you finally found a home and you go under contract, but that inspection report is less than stellar, how do you handle it? At least for me personally, I try to make sure that I talk with the inspector before they reach out to my client, because I want to get an idea of the scope of the issues that they have found with the home. No home's going to be perfect, not even new constructions. Every single home is going to have its own set of issues with the home. And my job as the real estate professional is to translate what that inspector report is telling me and see if it would be a good idea to move forward. So for me personally, I strongly suggest that you have a conversation with your inspector. Whether you pick it or the client picks it, it really doesn't matter. Some agents leave it to the client to pick their own inspector. I'm of the mindset of at least having a couple of options that I know, like, and trust, and have done great work for clients. But giving that client of yours the option to choose their own inspector is something that you may want to do. But if they don't have anyone, then you have some folks lined up. And so once I talk with the inspector, I like to find out at least if there's a major issue with any of the 5 biggies. And you're going to want to make sure you write these down. The 5 most important things that a home should not have a severe issue with, that may, and if it has it, it's probably going to be something you're going to want to walk away from, is termites, HVAC, roof, electrical, and then plumbing and foundation. Those 6 things, I should say, are going to be the non-negotiables as it relates to you and your job as a fiduciary, to make sure that a client does not buy a home that has these urgent issues unless they have literally the resources and the network of contractors to address those issues. For me personally, if it's a home that has major termite issues, I'm going to suggest that we continue the search. If it's an issue with a roof, now the roof could be not a big deal. It's one of the most expensive things to replace in a home, but it just depends on the condition of the roof and whether or not the client has it in the budget to potentially replace that roof, or if we negotiate that on the price, to adjust the price for a roof that's at its end of use. Electrical goes without saying. Your brother, your uncle, I'm not getting anywhere near a home that has electrical issues, because electrical issues very easily can turn into a fire hazard and that home will burn down. Right? To talk about rewiring a home, it's an expense that most first-time home buyers are not prepared for. And then, of course, the foundation. The foundation of a home, of course, is it sinking or having an issue where there's one part of the home that there's a big crack on the side of the wall because one part of the home is slumping versus the other. Those are the areas that, at least for me, if it's any of those 6 issues, and HVAC, it can be repaired depending on the scope of the issues, but those are the biggies that you're going to want to really, really make sure that the client understands the extent of the issues that the inspector found and how to address it. Hey, if you've made it this far in the video and you are a real estate professional, consider partnering with me here at Real Brokerage. You pay nothing per month, get a fantastic split, and you have the opportunity to build a business through revenue share and stock purchases. Book a call at the link below in today's video, and I'm happy to have a conversation on why I was able to grow my business exponentially by moving my practice to Real Brokerage. All right, back to the video. Think of an inspector, y'all, as a family doctor. You go to a family doctor, something's wrong with your elbow or your knee, and they tell you that they'd like for you to talk to a specialist. That specialist is going to be a specialist in that specific issue that the family doctor has diagnosed and said, hey, this is a potential issue that you might want to, get addressed. A lot of times the inspectors, their findings may actually be a big situation that they've caught on the front end. And sometimes when I talk with a specialist, if you will, for a specific area of the inspection report, the specialist will say, the inspector did catch this and they did a great job, but it's not as serious as they are making it out to be. Unfortunately, with some inspectors, they do a really good job of scaring buyer clients with the litany of things that they put on that inspection report. And the inspectors that I work with, I mean, they're great. They work from the rooter to the tutor, but it can be really intimidating for your first-time home buyers. So if the inspection report says that there's like some deferred maintenance, and deferred maintenance means maybe the AC probably hasn't been serviced in some time, so there looks like there could be a coil issue or, something like that. If the inspection report doesn't say a whole lot of actual safety issues, but more on a minor level, and most good inspection reports will break down what's major versus, what's minor and may need to be addressed over the time of that homeowner owning the home. You just want to make sure that you've got someone in your Rolodex. And what I'll tell you now is specifically for those 6 areas that I mentioned, as you're watching this video and you're making notes, right now I would literally Google your city's name and roofing company, and then pick about 2 or 3 that have really good ratings on Google. And people have spoken very highly of the service, the price, the experience, all that jazz. You have a lot of folks that'll go on places like Angie's List, stuff like that. That's cool. You can go that route. I love Google. So on those areas that I just mentioned on the main things, I already have a Rolodex of companies that I've worked with directly or have come to me highly recommended. I also like to reach out to my realtor network. So I'll hit up a buddy of mine and say, hey, who do you have that does this? Or who do you have that does that? Because I'm big on referral business. I think that referrals from other real estate agents are going to be key, especially for those handyman kind of scenarios, more of the minor things like a drawer in the kitchen won't open or close. That's something that you would send to a handyman. Don't be so desperate to make that sale that you downplay what the inspection report says because you just want to get that person to the finish line and you're tired of looking at homes. I get it. I totally get it. It's nothing worse than having looked at several homes, finally finding one, and then ultimately the inspector, it feels like they've killed the deal. The inspector has a job to do. The inspector's job is on the day that they approach that home, everything that they observed, they make note of it because they are, for lack of a better word, they're held liable if there was something that they should have caught or that they downplayed that ends up being a big issue for the buyer. So in my case, I just try to make sure that if the inspector and I talk and they tell me kind of some things that may want to get addressed, I immediately get on the phone with said company. If it's a foundation company, then I'm on the phone. If it's a little bit of mold, I'm on the phone with the remediation company, trying to see how quickly I can get them out there and hopefully get them out there for free for my client. If you don't understand something on that inspection report, don't try to decipher it or reinterpret what the inspector has said. Ask that inspector to reach out to the client and explain if this is a major issue or a minor issue. And in some cases, they can kind of give you or in your client kind of an idea of the range of how much it would cost to repair something. And they may even have a contact to send your way. Most of the times, you just want to make sure that those 6 issues that I mentioned, termites, HVAC, electrical, plumbing, roofing, foundation, that those are not like to a point where the inspector's like, hey, this is like a safety issue. If they tell you, and I ask my inspector straight up, I'm like, look, is this something that we may want to consider walking away from? They'll give you the real and they'll say, hey, no, this roof might have maybe another 7 or 8 more years on it. Maybe the foundation has a little bit of, intrusion, but you probably could just get that, get some work done over that, close those holes up where the intrusion is happening. And if it's termite activity versus visible termite damage, well, that might be something that you just get a pest control company to come out there and issue what's called a termite bond, where they've inspected and they say, okay, this home doesn't have activity to the level that we cannot warrant offering a bond. And a bond is basically saying, at least on the day they came out, there was no visible activity. But all of this information should be used by you as the realtor to negotiate or renegotiate the terms of the sale. Because once you are under contract, you're really in a better position to negotiate with the seller based on the inspection report. I don't ever provide the inspection report to the seller because my buyers pay for that, right? But what I'll do is I'll take certain screenshots from the inspection report, compare that with an estimate that I'll have run, maybe another company, I'll have them come out, I'll show them the inspection report, and I'll say, hey, based on this inspection report, what could be the underlying issue and how much will that cost? And once they give me that estimate, then I use that with just a screenshot of the issue that the inspector found as leverage to either bring the price down, get further concessions for my client, or maybe even have them repair said issues that were on the report before closing. But don't ever feel like you have to provide the inspection report to a listing agent because they demand to see it in order to verify what you've said and all that. Yeah, you should give them maybe a little screenshot of it, but you under no circumstances should be providing a inspection report that your buyer client paid for to a seller for free 99. You shouldn't do it. That's something that's a non-negotiable for me, because my job is to fight and advocate for my client. Either you're going to address these issues, Mr. and Mrs. Seller and listing agent, or my client and I are going to walk. And I make sure when I write my contracts that I write it with language that protects my clients, at least here in the state of Georgia, that I protect my clients within a certain window, that if for whatever reason or no reason at all, we can terminate this contract. But if you're in a market where that's not the case, you'll want to definitely talk with your broker to see, okay, before we submit this offer, how can I make sure that my client is protected in case something goes south during the inspection process? And ultimately, don't try to force a round peg through a square hole. If that home has a litany of issues and you can pretty much tell that your client is not going to be able to address these things, you're probably going to want to move on to the next property. And that's okay. If anything, that may be a better opportunity to position a new construction home. New construction homes have their own set of issues. Don't get it twisted. There's no home that's perfect, but at least with new construction homes, you can, in many cases, if the inspector finds the number of things during the construction of the property, the builder will address those issues without your buyer coming out of pocket. In most cases, they want to get it done before they close. So they'll address those issues. And on top of that, offer you a warranty for 2, 5, 10 years on some of the major things that I mentioned. So that for me is a real big reason why I'm loving new construction, because even though they have their own set of issues on the inspections that are done, you're in a better position to put your client in a better position to be in a home that they're going to have peace of mind on. So let me know in the comments below, what has been your experience when you've been working with inspectors and they provide those inspection reports that terrify your clients, and how do you proceed? Do you ultimately suggest that they move forward or walk away? Why or why not? Do you typically line up repair companies to address those major issues that have been found on the inspection report? Or do you simply use that information as leverage because you may have an investor mindset and you have an idea of the cost of those things and whether or not they can be repaired short-term or long-term, and you use that for better savings for your clients? Let's keep the conversation going. For more strategies like this, check out this video here right now to learn more about how I handle certain scenarios based on the real estate market. All right, peace.